Welcome back to Babbling Zoom. Uh, Today we're going to talk about Last Jedi and why I kind of like it, and then why it's kind of flawed. Um, the major thing I want to talk about is the fact that everyone's giving a lot of hate to Rian Johnson, but to be honest, I think he did a good job. I like the way he went with the direction of the story, but I also understand why everyone's kind of upset with it. It's not what you wanted. You wanted a glorified shonen, in a way, with Luke Skywalker being a god. I get it. What we got was, in a way, Luke Skywalker mirroring Yoda, kind of following the same path of being a recluse who just feels like he failed. I like that. What failed about the movie was the fact that it didn't feel like Star Wars. There's too many added things that wanted to generate humor rather than thought. There's humor in Star Wars. You don't need to artificially create it. Again, this is another movie where our boy Finn got left out. And the last movie was really the story of these three. But now we've kind of forgotten about Finn and really focused only on Rey and Kylo. That's where the fault lies. Also, he needed someone who knew Star Wars visually. He just needed a visual director. He needed a visual director who knew Star Wars as a whole. So here's what we're going to do. For the second movie, we're going to keep all the changes I added where Finn is a pacifist. Keeping Finn a pacifist, he's only killed one person. We're going to take sections of what Rian Johnson deleted in Finn's story arc and put it back into the story while giving Finn a better all-rounded narrative. And we're switching a few things around. So when we start off in Act 1, after the crawl, we start automatically with Finn. Again, mirroring him waking up really fast. He's covered in medical garb and he freaks out and walks out. Something taken from the Rian Johnson thing. When he comes out, he finally finds his clothes and gets dressed. As he's walking around, as he's walking around, people are kind of whispering in the background or patting him on the shoulder, talking about how he's the guy who allowed the resistance to survive. He's the guy that helped the resistance blow up the super Death Star. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I can't remember what name it is. But at the same time, there's blasters, there's the ship's shaking, everything's going on. He makes his way to the bridge. Leia's trying to order Poe to help with the evacuation and stuff. And Leia notices him before he even walks in the room. From there we cut to Poe with his team, with his squads, just laying waste, shooting as much of the TIE fighters and Star Destroyers. Trying to protect the fleet, the Resistance fleet, as they get off the planet. Just before everything's done, the final call comes in. We've got the last of the ships are off the planet. We're ready to go. Leia bugs Poe. Poe says, cool. And then all of a sudden the Dreadnought comes in. The massive, huge Star Destroyer. Poe sees an opportunity and ignores Leia. He goes in with his fighters and his bombers. And in the midst of all of this, we cut to Paige and her bomber. This time, same thing kind of goes as planned, but the bombers are faster. Everything's just so much faster. Slow bombers sucked. It dragged on the movie. Her bombs malfunction. And seeing that there's no other way of getting around this, and being the last bomber left, she decides a kamikaze run into the ship. She arms the bombs, gets in the pilot seat, and then just beelines for it. Just before she dies, she calls up Admiral Holder and says, I'm sorry, dear, I can't come back. Take care of my sister for me. Boom. The dreadnought's gone. Cut back to Leia and the bridge. Everyone cheers, except for Leia, who sees the losses that's incurred. Everyone gets back to the ship and they jump out of there. Hux, kind of feeling the problem of it, has no problem with it. He gets a call from Snoke and he's like, yeah, we lost the dreadnought, but don't worry about it, sir. We'll find him. And in that, we cut to Kylo, who's now getting reamed out. Snoke is basically telling him, I thought I was going to get a Vader. I thought I was going to get the second coming of Vader, but in actuality, I just got a kid with a little mask. Nothing special. Kylo, fuming from this whole thing and the loss of everything, goes downstairs and smashes the mask on the wall. Great thing. Cut to Rey. Everything the same. Everything with Rey is the same. She hands Luke the lightsaber. Luke throws it over his shoulder. She begs and begs and begs for him to go. And he's like, I'm not part of this anymore. And after begging, she feels the Force pulling her to the Jedi texts, where Luke confronts her, tries to understand what she is. And he's like, I don't care anymore. There should be no more Jedi. It's done. It's over. He's jaded. He just can't handle it anymore. When we come back to Finn is sitting with Leia, just talking. He wants to know what he should do. And Leia, in this small little moment, kind of offers him something. A path. She tells him that Rey went off to do her own thing. Everyone is doing their own thing. I know you haven't settled yet. You're not part of us yet. Don't look to me to tell you what to do. Rey found her path. You need to find yours. But maybe this will help. And she hands Finn Rey's beacon. Just then, Poe walks in. Leia gets up, slaps him in the face, demotes him. They start arguing for a second, just as the fleet jumps out of hyperspace. This is all happening in Leia's chambers, by the way. The moment they get out of the chambers, the moment the ships come out of hyperspace, seconds later, the alarm goes off. The bridge falls down. They found us. They found us. And from the outside, you see the First Order ships hovering above the fleet, just jumping in behind the fleet. And they're like, this is impossible. I don't know what's going on. She starts freaking out. And this whole conversation happens in the room where they're talking about hyperspace. Like, this is impossible. They can't track us. Maybe they have the the ability to track us. I don't know. And it's like, and Leia unknowingly repeats the words that Han said in A New Hope.
How long before you can make the jump to light speed?
Take a few moments to get the coordinates from the Navic computer.
Are you kidding? At the rate they're gaining?
Traveling through hyperspace ain't like dust and crops, boy. Without precise calculations, we'd fly right through a star or bounce too close to a supernova and then it end your trip real quick, wouldn't it?
Where they're arguing over hyperspace. They're arguing over putting coordinates in for hyperspace and how it's impossible to just put a button, put numbers in, because you'll run into stuff and you'll blow up. This is where, like, you don't want to do this. But as Leia's recounting that, something pops in her head and she radios the bridge and says, put these coordinates in, as she punches into like whatever computer. And they're like, are you sure? She's like, just do it and brace for impact. She turns to Poe, get the fleet ready, get whatever we have left ready. And just wait. Finn's like, what do I do? It's up to you. From Hux's point of view, Hux is that with Kylo, now kind of just looking over the whole situation. The Resistance fleet warp out or jump out. It says follow them as they warp out too. Finn follows Leo and Poe to the bridge. As they get to the bridge, they start talking more about the trying to understand what's really going on. They turn to Finn to see if he knows anything about it. And he's like, I have no idea what this is. I don't know how this works. Fine. Leia walks into the bridge just as the fleet comes out of jumps out of hyperspace. The door closes between Finn and Leia. Leia's on the bridge. Poe and Finn are on the in the hallway. And as the door closes, the fleet warps out into the middle of an asteroid field.
What are you doing? You're not actually going into an asteroid field.
They'd be crazy to follow us, wouldn't they?
And one asteroid smashes in the bridge, pulling half the crew out. Leia's still standing there, turns and uses the Force and drags as many people in, tries to save as many people as possible, and also sealing the breach with a boulder. That much power knocks her out. With the breach sealed, the doors open and a huge amount of crew run in with Poe to try and save her. Finn doesn't know what to do. He's freaking out. As they drag Leia away, Finn is just devastated. He just doesn't know what to do, and he's holding on to the beacon. When we cut to Hux and Kylo, their fleet warps in. Again, right in the middle of the asteroid field. They're like, everyone braces for impact. People are thrown left and right. Some ships are damaged, but all are intact. And finally, they all, after dealing with the blow, they all look up to see what the resistance fleet looks like. And that's when Hux smiles to see that Leia's lead ship is damaged. And Kylo feels it. He doesn't react, but he feels the fact that he almost lost his mother. He quietly walks away into the hallway, and he's trying to contain his feelings. And in that one moment, he connects with Rey. Somehow in that crazy emotion, these two connect for a split second. They freak out in that connection, just like in the movie. They freak out, they do their little, and then it cuts. Done. You come back to Finn. Finn is quickly walking down the hallways to the launch bay with BB-8. Or what I can do is keep what Ryan Johnson did. Keep him sitting there trying to figure out what's going on. BB-8 kind of shows him the beacon, shows him recording of Rey saying bye to him and kissing him on the forehead. That spurs the two. They start walking down the hallway to their launch bay. They walk past a crazy crew. The crew like freaking out, trying to figure out what to do, and they steal a transport. They jump into an open transport, and BB-8 cleverly guides it out into space, into the asteroid field. Finn turns to BB-8. Was this a good idea? Beep, 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 beep. Okay, we'll just do this. And all of a sudden, Rose pops up out of nowhere, trying to figure out what's going on. Why did we move? What's going on? I've been working on the ship. I've been fixing the ship. What's going on? She sees Finn. BB-8 says, "Oh my God, it's Finn, the Resistance hero. Blah 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 blah. I'm a hero. What? Blah 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 blah." You know. Then she looks outside, looks at BB-8, thinks about it again. "You're running?" Shocks him. He's out. When he wakes back up, BB-8's pretty much talking to Rose about the entire thing. She kind of understands BB-8. And at the same time, the screen is also on Poe. They've radioed Poe by this point. He kind of explains what's been going on, confirming what Poe tells Rose. And all of them agree that the best way of doing this is to find the weapons dealer who created the tracking, active tracking, right? Now, from this whole conversation, we find out that Rose knows about the active tracking. She's somehow intimate about this active tracking. So she knows exactly that it's on Canto Bight, or where to find it on Canto Bight. And she's like, don't worry about it. I could do this. Just let me do this. Just do me a favor and don't tell Admiral Holder. Cool. We start off Act 2. Oh, before that, we cut to Luke, and we do the Luke scene, the night scene, reverse. When we cut to Luke, Luke is sitting there in the Falcon with R2 replaying Leia's old message. He slips out the Falcon past Chewie to Rey, wakes her up and says, I'll train you. So, Act 2 starts with Rey being trained. Same thing. Act 2, the first lesson. What is the Force? And we go through the whole scene of her misunderstanding it, him explaining it, him slapping her on the hand, her reaching out to the Force, and her reaching into the dark side of the Force. When he gets upset, he flips out on her and walks away. I can't train you. You're too much, and you're too into this dark side. You don't get it. In that frustration, again, she reconnects with Kylo. They have their little talk about her being angry with him trying to convince her to join the Force, and and it's disconnected. When we cut back to Finn, Rose, and BB-8 get to Canto Bight. They land on the planet, or they land next to the casino, the big city, and Rose slips him through a back way, knowing the area now. Rose knows the area. And we use that. We slip Finn through the back alleys all the way up to the casino floor, changing the location, the look of the casino floor. Again, the way it looked was wrong. We should take it more like, steal more from a Han Solo movie and their casino, rather than making it look like a real casino. It's bad. They overlook the area. They know where they want to go. They know the plan is somehow get into a casino game. We'll get into a game where the weapon dealer is and try to get information from him that way. Simple plan. As they talk about the plan, they overlook the races. That's when Rose mentions her story. She was a mining kid with her sister. But after a while, when they got too old, they got moved to Canto Bight to do some more slave labor. In the middle of all that, they meet up with a small resistance of kids that were the child slaves. And the head person of that was DJ. DJ somehow managed to get Rose and Paige off the planet through his network. Finn, listening to that story, connects. Connection with the Force. He connects with that story. And he recounts the fact that he doesn't even know his backstory as much as Rose knows. So Rose knows hers. He doesn't even know his. He just knew life through the First Order. He knew he was kidnapped like the other kids. They didn't know anything else about their past. They're forced to live through this whole ordeal of being soldiers, but the brotherhood between him and his fellow soldiers kept them sane. And the only person that kept pushing that down was Phasma, which is why they're all kind of freaked out by Phasma. When we cut back to Rey, the second lesson happens. What is a Jedi? The second lesson again, just the whole thing. Jedi's are awesome superhero people, just like the fan base thinks they are. And Luke is like, no, they're just flawed people that led to this mistake, and it needs to stop. They go through the entire thing with the story. They go through the lesson. Frustrated again. She reconnects. They have the conversation about what Luke did to Kylo and how this whole thing went down. And Luke says his version of the story. Yes, Luke says his version of the story. This doesn't happen yet. We get back to Finn. And we're doing these things. The Finn storyline on Canto Bight is reversed now. Because they need DJ. Now they need DJ. Before in the original movie, they didn't know about DJ. This time they know DJ. It's a connection. Rose leads Finn to the what was it? They lead him to the stables where they meet the kids. She asked the kids, "Where's DJ?" And they say he's in prison right now. So Rose leads the kids lead Rose and Finn through the sewers out to the prison. And now when they meet DJ, they're on the other side of the prison. DJ, when you first introduce DJ, he's reading a book with the rose in it. Closes the book, puts the book in the middle of the page and closes it up. His connection with them. He starts talking to them. Oh, wow. Rose, where's your sister Paige? She passed away. They have a little heart to heart for a second. And then she mentions, we need to do this. And the reality is, as DJ starts to talk, that's great. But, that it costs a lot of money to do what I do. And seeing that, your Resistance friends has money too, I've seen them here in Canto Bight too. And he just lays out the fact that everyone isn't good. Everyone profits from this place, as evil as it is. But since the Resistance has money, you could pay him. Finn's like, I don't like this, but it's the only thing we've got. Rose is like reluctant, and she's like, fine, let's get him out. And DJ gets himself out. As they consider how to get into the game, DJ poses a different thing. There's no point in going after the guy when you know all of the information is on a ship. We just need a diversion. Craziness ensues. Just like in the movie, DJ and BB-8 steal the ship, while Finn and Rose starts a diversion by freeing the beast, whatever the riding horse thingy, dog things. And again, just like in the movie, they meet up in the fields, they get together, or they fly off. And even if you want to, you could throw in that scene where he's looking through the, you could take that whole explanation of everyone equally being at fault and move that to the original scene where they're in the ship as he's flipping through the plans. It works either way. We can get, throughout this whole thing, by the way, Poe's getting reamed at by Hodor. He wants to know what's going on. She wants to know where Finn is, because now she's adamant that Finn has done something and they can't find Rose. So he's basically hiding the fact that this whole thing is going on. And Hodor is now mad at him, not because he's just some guy. It's because his actions led to her wife's death, Paige's death, and Rose missing. This is more of a tug at the emotions than anything else. So now we get to the final lesson. Rey's going through her mumpiness and eventually connects with Kylo again. They have an argument. Kylo mentions the fact that you constantly try to find your parents. I've been noticing this. Stop doing it with my dad. Stop doing it with Luke. Stop trying to find them. Understand that you don't need them to be strong. And she flips out. They flip out. And he's like, and then he tells her the truth. This is what Luke did to me. And he's like, oh, wow. And just like, again, same thing as the movie. She goes down to the hole. She does the whole mirror thing. She recounts the entire thing to Kylo. They try to reach out. Yeah, they try to reach out to each other. And Luke walks in, catches the entire thing, breaking the connection. Rey freaks out on Luke, getting him to actually explain what happened. And then she ditches him, gets on the Falcon and takes off. She's not going to see Kylo. Finn, with his crew, slip into the ship. They change into the new clothes, into Imperial clothes, or First Order clothes. And they start walking around the ship. Difference. Finn is comfortable. Finn, in his weird, awkward way, is the most comfortable, relaxed he ever is. He's now kind of, not in control. He's just very comfortable where he is. He's back in his own skin. The other two, DJ, Rose, and BB-8 are freaking the hell out. They go through everything. They go through slipping through past the people, past the guards. At one point, Finn even slips into the cafeteria, grabs some food, gives it to his friends. And then they jump into the elevator, and there's an elevator scene that's cut out from the movie where they're talking, and they walk in the elevator, and Finn, added part, Finn is so meticulous about this whole thing. He's fixing everyone's clothes, just making sure everyone looks right. Then the doors open up and stormtroopers walk in. And they straighten up like, oh, we're going to get caught. One guy looks at Finn and says, I know you. Oh, hey, FN218. Yeah. I didn't know you moved up. Hoorah. Smacks him in the butt. And the troops leave on their floor. He kind of giggles. Rose loses it, trying to understand what's wrong with him. Why are you going through this whole mess? I don't get it. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, he's like, you know what? I'm kind of comfortable with this. I don't know. I don't see them as bad guys. They're my brothers and sisters. They're just kind of following this. They're part of the system. That's what I want to say. They're part of the system. It's not their fault they're part of the system. They're just people that got dragged into something they didn't have power to stop. And as he says that, we'll cut to Kylo and Rey in the elevator going up to see Snoke. And yeah, as they reverting back a bit, as they come in to the ship, that's when Rey goes in, just as in the movie. Kylo and Rey meet Snoke. They go through the whole thing again. Blah 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 blah. Snoke reveals he knows what's going on. They can't do anything about it, and everything starts falling apart. Oh yeah, I forgot. This lesson actually happened when Rey left the planet. I forgot about that part. We go back to the last lesson is when Rey left, Luke immediately went to burn the text where he meets Yoda, and Yoda talks about failure. Right? So, while they meet Snoke and everything's falling apart, Finn's whole story starts to Finn's whole crew gets caught because DJ betrayed them. Phasma gets the axe, laser axe, to try him for treason and kill him in front of all the troopers. Poe tries to start a mutiny, telling Holdo exactly what's going on. She flips out. He tries to make the mutiny. Leia wakes up and knocks him out. And then, just like in the movie, everything falls apart. At the height of it, Holdo makes a decision, takes the ship, tells everyone to go, turns the last resistance fleet resistance ship towards the enemy, and does the hyperspace, and basically slices into Snoke's ship. Amidst all the debris and all the asteroids and everything else. Again, they're still in an asteroid field. So the whole asteroid field thing is more like, it's less of a bad chase scene and more of a maneuvering through debris / battleship. So the Holdo maneuver is a good thing. She does it. It happens. Disrupts everyone. Just before the Holdo maneuver, key things are happening. These two lay waste the entire crew, taking out Snoke. Kylo turns to Rey, join me. She's hesitant. At that same time, Finn is about to get his head chopped off. They're about to go through the motions, and Holdo maneuver disrupts everything. In the destruction of the ship and everything like falling apart, Kylo falls. Rey reaches out and grabs him. They connect. She's chosen her side now. She's with Kylo. She doesn't run away. Nothing gets destroyed. She joins him. Finn gets the upper hand and grabs a weapon and starts fighting Phasma and the whole mess of all this. He thinks he has the upper hand at a certain point. Actually, yeah. He has the upper hand and she falls over the edge. She comes back and we go into the cutscene where he's surrounded by 4 troopers and Phasma. Then he reveals the fact. He lets out all of his aggression, reveals the fact that Phasma screwed everyone over. Phasma panics, shoots. Instead of in the Johnson version, she shoots all 4 guards. She turns and shoots 2 of them, the 2 behind her. As she turns to shoot the last one, Finn gets in the way and gets hit in the shoulder, saving the 1 guard. As the last guard shoots at Phasma and Phasma goes over. Finn, grabbing his shoulder real quick, pushes off the guard that he saved to get up. The imprint left is just like the bloody imprint that Finn got in the very beginning of Force Awakens. So now there's another red handprint on another stormtrooper. He gets up. Finn gets up and says, "Are you okay?" And the guard's like, "Yeah, I'm fine, FN-218. Thanks. All right, good. Get off the ship. Make sure everyone gets off of here as fast as possible. No one needs to die here." At the same time, BB-8 and Rose show up with the walker. They both get out. Everyone gets out of there. They get out as the place starts blowing up. Act 3. Everyone makes it to the planet. I can't remember the name of the planet right now. Whatever planet that was. And everything kind of follows the same path. The Resistance makes to the abandoned base. The First Order follows them down to the planet. They drop their guerrilla walkers. As much as the Resistance tries their hardest to reach out to anyone to save them, there's no one answering. And they set up for the last fight. In the midst of all this, Rose is freaking out and pissed. Rose is the one who's dead set on sacrificing himself for the cause. So as the First Order drops down their siege cannon, and the Resistance pilots jump out and start flying towards them, Rose is the one who's dead set on flying forward into the carnage. Finn comes in and saves her. We're reversing the rules. Finn is the one who crashes into her and knocks her out. Rose survived. After the crash, Rose freaks out and runs over to the ship, to Finn's ship. As Finn's slowly trying to get out, still her arms being hurt and everything. And she's like, "Why did you do that, you silly idiot? You know, basically, why the hell did you do that?" And he's like, "There's no way we can constantly fight. This constant war of fighting and everything is not going to work. We have to reach out and, I don't know, save it with love or something." It's a better line, not just love. And in that moment, Rose kind of gets really emotional and kisses Finn. Finn has no idea what's going on. With that whole thing messed up, the final blast happens, taking down the walls. As the blast happens, inside the Resistance base, Luke moves through the crowd. Everyone's like in awe. He does the final talk to Leia and then walks outside, enraging Kylo, who now is shadowed by Rey and Hux. And just in the movie, Kylo orders everyone to stop fighting. Kylo orders first the bombardment of Luke. It happens, nothing happens. Luke still stands there. Kylo then says, "I'm going to go down there." And Rey's like, "I'm coming with you." They both go down. Luke sees Rey and Kylo together and is disappointed. Again, lesson of failure. Rey says, "I'm going to handle it," and she ignites the lightsaber. She ignites the blue lightsaber. And across the field, across the plains, all you hear is, "Rey, don't do it," as Finn reaches out to try and stop her, even though he's far away. But the Force yanks Rey's lightsaber out of her hands, and it flies straight to Finn. Finn takes the lightsaber and looks at it. What? And she's totally baffled too. What? Kylo, meanwhile, is now livid at the fact that this is all going down and lashes out at Luke. Same scene. He lashes out at Luke. They start fighting everything. He starts losing it, trying to attack him until finally he realizes that Luke is just a phantom, and he freaks again. By this point, the Resistance has found the way out of the base through back tunnels. Finn and Rose has been picked up by Chewie, and they fly off. As they're flying around trying to figure out where the rest of the Resistance is, Finn kind of senses something. Cut to Leia, who senses something. The Falcon lands. Finn is the one now who walks up to the boulders and kind of reaching out to the Force, pries the boulders apart. And on the other side of the boulders, Leia is doing the exact same thing. Poe, freaking out, saying, "Oh my gosh, it's you," runs up, hugs Finn like, "Dude, this is awesome. What happened?" And he says, "Rey turned. She's now on their side." They jump on the ship. They fly off. It's not happy anymore. It's not a happy-go-lucky stuff. What ends up happening is that they fly off and they're not as happy. They've lost one of the most powerful people. And as they're sitting there, BB-8 kind of gets Finn's attention and shows him that Rey stole the books. Rey stole the Jedi books. And he's like, "Really?" And Leia's like, I can help you with that if you want. He's like, I like that. Kylo and Rey walk through the now disheveled place. Kylo goes through the thing of like finding the dice and everything. And then just before it ends, Luke dies. Kylo's walking around, the dice fade away, and a slight chatter off the old radio says, we hear you. Are you there? We hear you. Are you there? We cut to Canto Bight with a kid. He's showing a little bit of the Force looking up at the stars, and then we're counting the legends of Luke Skywalker that went up against the guerrilla walkers. And then we cut to an empty stormtrooper bed. And the stormtrooper still with the handprint on him, offering something. I don't know, a bullet or whatever cartridge, something, offering to this one empty bed. And slowly a bunch more people, a bunch more stormtroopers show up. Or you know what we can do? Which is better? We show the stormtrooper surrounded by a bunch of stormtroopers. This is actually better. Continuing the legend. The stormtrooper with the handprint on top of his shoulders, on his shoulder or chest or whatever. The blood print's still there. This time he removed the trooper takes off his helmet with his helmet removed, showing that he's human, talking to other stormtroopers with their helmets on, talking about the legend that was FN218. The movie ends, credits, done. Now, what does this do in the end of the movie? What it does is it subverts. This entire thing that Rian Johnson was doing was subverting the expectations of the movie, of all fans, on anyone else. It's time to take the story into a new direction, not follow the ways of Luke Skywalkers and everything else. Shouldn't be a Skywalker saga. This is a dumb idea. So this should be the starting point for a new chapter. So by doing it, what we do is set up a Jedi who turned willingly, but for reasons that make sense. A person without a connection to anyone else joins a person who wants to disconnect from everything that he knows. They are now the new. A stormtrooper that found out that his war isn't about killing, but about saving. Kind of a way that the Jedi should be, the way they should be going about it. So he's going to be kind of a pseudo Qui-Gon. If you've seen anything about any of the making of Mandalorian, you'll get a hint of that. So that's the end of The Last Jedi. That's the new ending of The Last Jedi that I feel should happen. All right. So tell me your thoughts. Don't worry about subscribing because I don't have a bunch of followers anyway right now. Maybe later on in the past. No, later on in the future, we could come back and look at this in the past and see what we say. But thank you. See you next time. Hopefully not this long.